we're all interconnected, just like our bodies, our minds, and our spirits are all like an interconnecting web. So are we as a society. So if we could just like connect this web of energy between Mother Earth, between human beings, and then just start looking at us as human beings as playing on one team that just doesn't know all the players.
It's the Health in the Real World podcast. It's time to start the show with Chris Janke as your host. Here to give you everything that you need when it comes to fitness strategies. We keep it simple and easy. It's your roadmap to get healthy. You don't need equipment and you don't need a gym. Just the right strategies to get you fit and trim.
Welcome, everyone, to Health in the Real World. We're here today with Justen Arnold. Justen is in New York. He's the owner of Flex Mobility and Performance. Justen, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me on here. I appreciate it. So
Absolutely. I'll tell everybody a quick background about who you are, how you got into this business, and kind of what type of clients, what kind of people you help.
Yeah, so I'm a husband. I got 3 children. Those are my big priorities in my life, and I've been in the health and wellness arena, call it what you will, for over 15 years. Started out part-time, and then I worked for like the nonprofit, the for-profit, and the last one was the YMCA before. In 2015 I left to start my own business, and that whole motivation was the support of my wife, but literally just, you hear this story, but mine was possibly similar to a lot, where it just felt like it was never a dream to like start a business. It just felt like I had to. And that's kind of like the story of my life. Like everything, like things and were happening. And I'm like, I feel like I have to do this. And it was like walls and ceilings were being put up. And I went out and started my own training business, started renting out places, small places, because I don't want to say I was broke, but I was I couldn't imagine owning what I do now when I first started. And now we're in about a 2,600 semi-private training facility. That's mainly what we do. We really do personalized training. We got a few different models, from like self-driven to unlimited one-on-one. But just like any trainer, we can do a lot. But our main niche is really people with pain, a lot of physical and even mental and emotional, and how it's all interconnected. We really work the mind, body, spirit, and emotional levels there. But the basic is people come to us, whether it's weight loss or whatever, but we find everybody's dealing with something, whether it be back, whether it be knee, from head to toe. We've worked from clients, and again, we're not physical therapists, but we're strength conditioning specialists, and we're really focused on like moving better, feeling better, and living better, like I talk on my YouTube channel. And so we've really taken some really cool cases and taken people who've dealt with like shoulder or knee or back for months, even years. Even I had a guy with back pain for probably about 15 years, referred from a physical therapist, and now he's like hinging, deadlifting 300 pounds, but not having any back pain. So those are kind of the stories you hear. And then of course, with all that, the caveat is that they're here to lose weight. That happens too. So that's kind of like where we're at. So
That's awesome. Yeah, that's kind of my specialty too. That's how I got into this business. Actually, I had a lot of lower back pain. I bulged a disc in my lower back when I was 14 years old. And probably for the next decade, I tried all kinds of different modalities, and it was mainly outside in, right? So like chiropractors trying to adjust me, acupuncturists, massage therapists. And I kind of, I really identify with your story, actually, because I finally got to the point where I'm like, maybe I need to move better, and started to research different ways and what, how am I deviating from how I should be moving. And then same thing, I used to work at the YMCA as well. So it's a lot of similarities with that.
Yeah, I was a lead trainer out here, but mine too. Like I come from a story of like, I did high school wrestling and tore all 4 rotator cuffs. And, I fractured 3 vertebrae in my neck. So broken my neck 3 different times from like snowboarding, car wrecks, hip, knee. I separated my wrist back in college. So I've had a lot of I can go on and on, but the list, I 9 staples in my head. So you could imagine I've had some concussions, and I've met these kinds of people. It's been kind of cool how God, the universe, it kind of has worked out where like these injuries that I've had, I have a limitless attitude. Like I'm, nothing's going to hold me back kind of mindset. So it's like, I take these people and I was like, we'll see, like I did it with me. Why can't I do it with you? And, now I've got, where it's like things are kind of coming full circle. Someone that used to be somewhat of a mentor who's been in this longer than I have. I'm working with her son, who was born with underdeveloped cerebellum. And she went to all these different things and wasn't having luck with the strength, stability, mobility, and all that stuff. And it started out with like, let's just try it out, see if he even likes it. It works. And now it went from, a tryout session to like, she wants to train twice a week for the foreseeable future and maybe even more. And it turned into where like money was like a concern to like, she sees the worth, because like what we've been able to do just within like a few sessions with her, 12-year-old son who has definitely some, what you can imagine that comes with, having an underdeveloped cerebellum. So yeah, crazy, right?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. It's amazing. Like, it's so rewarding training people like that who, have tried everything, or like, they're one step away from going into surgery and they're like, well, let me just try your solution. It's a lot less painful and it's potentially a lot easier. And it's just so rewarding. So Justen, what do you tell somebody? Let's say, I was about to say, like, what do you tell your average client? But I know there's not like an average client. But what's kind of your protocol? Like, somebody comes to you, what do you ask them? What are you trying to find out so that you can help them get to that next level?
I mean, I also say like this podcast, like let's just see where the conversation goes. Like, I kind of have an initial conversation with how they feel comfortable, kind of be where they're at. Like some people call, most people text or message me, slide in my DMs or something, just kind of get a background. But then once they come, I always invite them to come here, because the first thing anybody mostly is asking, what's your prices? And it's like, well, that means we're all the same. And just like you just said, no client is the same, no trainer is the same. So I want to see first, are they a fit for me? Like, honestly, like, and then am I a fit for them? Let's see because I've looked at everything as a relationship, and it's got to be cohesive, and it's like got to work well together. I may not be the right trainer for them, and they may not be the right client for me. And like, not to say that I can't help everybody, but there has to be that connection. And because once we can build a relationship, a connection with that person, sky's the limit, from the result. So again, to answer your original question, like once they get in this room, so we go through that, they get here where, I always put everyone through a movement screen of sorts. I've developed kind of my own, but there's a lot of different movement screens out there. There's different systems. There's certifications on the whole thing now. But anyways, I put them through movement screen before, and I want to see like why they're here. So I'm like, why are you here? What can I do to make your life the best possible life ever? And whatever they say they are a weight loss case. I want to lose weight and be healthy. I'm always asking why. Because of course, because the first, because like I think they think in their head like, well, because society tells me, or it's the right thing to do. But
exactly,
a lot of people are stuck. They're like, I don't know, I never really thought about it. So I just get really, really deep, and sometimes it turns emotional. Like I had a woman who's a newer client within the last 3 months, and it was that I want to lose weight. I want to get healthy. I sit at a desk for 15 hours a day or whatever it is. And the typical, like American Western life. And so we get just asking the questions after about 7, why, or along that lines, we find out she's almost envious of her husband who gets to ride bikes with their kids every day. And she can't even get physically on a bike. And she doesn't even know her lungs and all these different things because of her size and her breathing and her, just not really moving, and like stiffness and like everything going on with her legs and cramps and backs, and the list goes on and on. She just wants to like hang out with her kids. Like that's a reason. Like I was like, okay, we're going to get you that. So get away from the aesthetics, quit thinking about this as like your goals are to look a certain way. Your goals are to play with your kids again. And so that's what I want you to remember every time you come in here or don't come in here. It's a step forward or a step away from that goal. And that's a reality check. It's a hard pill to swallow, but they make their own goals, but we just got to get to that deep level. I call it the 7 levels of why or whatever, because that's usually it turns out to be like 5, 6, 7 questions of just keep finding out. And again, I don't pry. I mean, you kind of feel your energy out, but those are the clients I'm looking for that have some deep reasons they're here, because then the excuses kind of go out the window. I want to get ready for Puerto Rico, but why? ideally you want to because there was a case like that where I had somebody, they wanted to get ready for like a Puerto Rico or something for the summer, which was like 2 months away, and they wanted to lose like, an astronomical amount of weight in like 2 months. One of these unfeasibly possible, and you got to be honest with them. But the real reason was because their dad just got diagnosed with like some severe stuff, some severe health issues, and they didn't want to be that way because then they saw themselves going down that pathway. It wasn't Puerto Rico, it was something deeper. So we get that deeper why. So that's kind of like where we go through these questions, we write these things down. One other thing I do is I have an accountability. I make them sign this sheet of paper, and I actually have them take them with them. It's like 3 standards, like show up with a great attitude. If you're not showing up with a great attitude, we're going to have a chat about it because that affects here. And we're going to find out what's maybe bothering you out there, which might lead to other issues. Okay. Be on time. And I wrote down my band director who always used to say to be early is to be on time, to be on time is to be late, you better not show up. And then, and then I just said, show up. And when I say this, I say, don't just show up here, show up for yourself outside. Because I'm only got control of 2-3 hours a week. So just be present, show up, consistently show up for yourself every single day. So that means like moving every day, trying to make better, healthier choices, that kind of stuff. So I have them sign that, I have them take it with it. So it's like, these are the standards that you're setting for yourself, and then I want you to hold yourself to, because you're investing a lot of time. I'm investing a lot of time. So that's kind of like the run through of like the initial assessments and what we go on to, because I really want people to just truly change their lives and not need me. Like, it would be great to be here forever, but I want them to learn. I want them to be educated, and I want them to be self-reliant. I want them like 50 years from now to be like, I don't remember that guy's name, but he told me this and it really helped me out. I don't care if they remember a name, but they remember like what I told them. So, and then it helped to improve their life, to a healthier lifestyle, and then create the momentum to their kids and everything else. So,
yeah, that's awesome.
Sorry to go on a tangent, but they're.
No, the tangent, that's what this podcast is all about. Going on tangents, seeing where it goes. I have very generic questions. So, we're going any direction you want to go. But I really like that about what you said about, you want them to not need you. And I think that's really what we're all about as trainers, is that we're not here to babysit you. We're not here to, 10 years down the line, just punch a card, right? Check in for your time and leave. It's all about, like you said, showing up for yourself, even when you're not in the gym, because you have 1, 2, 3 hours a week with them. So Justin, I have a question though. A year down the line, let's say somebody starts, they're good, they're losing weight, they're feeling better, they're getting on the bike. A year down the line, they fall off the wagon. What's your pep talk for them?
Man, that's a great question. My pep talk for them is just, again, we go back to that big level why, like for anything, whether it be health, whether it be family, like, whether it be business or it be personal, professional, whether it be spiritual, like we all fall off one of these things, like or we hit a plateau or we're looking for the big next. So like if it's a health, it's just remember why you got into it for first place. Like that's where you go back to, and then just big things. There's 4 things I wrote down the other day. So these things have kept me going, even when like the life has been hard to navigate through. So storms are always going to be coming. In fact, one of the first chapters in the book that I just got done writing was called the devil doing push-ups in the parking lot. And that just relates to like life. Like life isn't all rainbows and unicorns, and there's going to be hiccups, and there's going to be distractions. There's going to be things that get in your way and walls put up, and some of them are your own doing, and like you got to figure out how to navigate through. So to answer your question, it's like, how do I do that? And it's like literally like there's 4 things that I always look to, and there's probably more, but these things kind of connected those 4. So like being very disciplined. So say you fall off your discipline, just get back into it. Another thing is just having a routine. So your routine set you up for success, but then another routine got in the way. You may not look at it as a routine, but it is. It's like people consistently do the similar things every day. Like you probably wake up, have a similar day that leads you to a healthy lifestyle. And I don't know what your life story is, but I know in the past where my life wasn't what it was now, I look back and I was like, maybe it wasn't in my head a routine, but there's a routine that put me down this pathway, and there's a routine that put me down this. So the discipline, just the routine, my mindset around everything. Like, for example, I got in a car accident a few weeks ago, but I didn't let it affect me. I had a challenging week last week, but I didn't let it affect me spending time with my kids and wife and doing some adventures on Saturday. So my mindset And then standards, like you got to set standards for yourself. And that's kind of like goes along with that why. Like, for example, like during COVID was a hiccup moment for a lot of us fitness people. And one standard that I held to and stuck to and stay to this day is is at least 30 minutes, which is really turning to 45 minutes standard of every day I'm with my kids outdoors, no matter the elements, which imagine Western New York winters, but we still get outside. And then like weekly meetings with my wife, these standards that I set. And then of course standards in my health, and I've got others, but that's just give you a broad spectrum where like usually when we're entrepreneurs, what gets pushed by the wayside? You know, usually it's our health or it's our faith. If you're a person of faith, or it's our family or it's our kids, and we're like, we're doing this for all of that. But really it's like, you gotta, it's a way to, you know, set these standards so that you can, and it's something I talk about in my book. It's like, you know, set those standards so you can navigate your life around your standards instead of your standards around your life. And what I mean by that is like when you have these standards set in place, or you're going to do this, you're going to do this, and you're going to do this by the end of that 24-hour cycle or that week or that month or whatever, then instead of it's like, okay, this is life happening, and I'll figure out when I'll I'll hang out with my kids when I get a chance to, or my wife, or I'll get to the gym when I can, or you know what I mean? And that's what happens with the same thing with back to your original question on the health. It's like you get these things in place, you go back to your standards that got you there in the first place, you get back to the discipline, you get back to the mindset, you get back to your big why. Like without, so I just sit down and have those conversations. Like, why'd you start this in the first place? Why are you here? It's just, it's that tough love. It's like, how would you talk to I hate to put it in this way, how would you talk to your son who's having a bad day at school or didn't make the travel team, or your daughter who got picked on, you know, or went down some unhealthy route? Like, you know, you would approach an adult the same way, with just love and compassion and caring, but also, you know, challenge that, you know, maybe I hold you a little bit of accountability. Accountability is huge. I think that's the biggest thing that you and I do is just accountability, holding people accountable. Like, because anybody could tell them to eat that or not. We all know that broccoli and the ice cream, what the difference is between. Like, I don't have to tell anybody that, and if I do, then we got a whole other roadmap to go through. But like people know what healthy for the most part. It's literally just guiding them, teaching them, and educating them through a sustainable plan that's going to last the rest of their life. So everybody's different. Some people like counting macros, some people can't stand it, you know? So it's just getting back to what got them to where they were, and just, you know, okay, what were you doing? What got you here? And then kind of mapping that out again. So it's an individual thing, but I think you kind of get the grasp of just sitting down and like, what got you here, and then what got you here? So let's get back to where it was to get you in that healthy route.
Yeah, 100%.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Oh, that totally does. You know, as you were talking, I'm just thinking about like a lot of my clients, like just what's the next step? Like, I know broccoli's better than ice cream, but what should I be doing this week? And then I think that's one cool thing about being a trainer too, is like we can sort of see everything that they're doing, that they're not doing, and pick that biggest bang for your buck. Think, all right, this week you're not drinking enough water. I just want you to drink more water, and then we'll talk again next week. And then taking that one step at a time.
Yeah, so many people can be overwhelmed because there's so much they need to change, and you look at like, oh my god, this person's a mess. Not really, but like it's just like they could need a lot, but it's just like that'd be overwhelming. It's like, you know, when I tell people my morning routine, like there's no way I could do that. I was like, well, I couldn't do it 10 years ago either. It started with me just doing burpees in the morning, just to kind of get started. And then I went about my day, and then I just started adding, and then I started removing, compressing. My morning routine lasts like 35 to 40 minutes. And, you know, I read some books, I do some movement, I do some meditation, and it's just like clockwork. But I know that these little steps set me up for success with every aspect of my life. So yeah, it's just getting back into those.
And you can, and like you said, you can start with just one thing, and then you can gradually add, take away, modify, tweak, right? As you get going.
Yeah, I mean, I've got people where that's what we're working on is water. But you know the benefits of like, if you could just get somebody to drink 8 ounces. Most people don't even drink water when they first wake up. They either eat, or they have coffee, or they have these things that like cause dehydration, or already like slow the metabolism, like do all these things that aren't like boosting their energy or their mental clarity. Like 8 ounces of water is powerful, as you know. Heck, and then if you can get them to do 20 ounces of water, it might sustain off a little bit of hunger for like an hour, to really, till their mind can catch up with their gut, and then figure out like, okay, make smarter choices a little bit. And for those, I'm not encouraging fasting or anything. I'm just like, we all have a routine, and a lot of people's routine is coffee and a donut. They just don't realize it. But like, if we could just develop better routines, because like at the end of the day, we start operating at, like, not to go too overboard for your listeners, but we start operating at like almost like this subconscious level. Like, think if you had to think every time you took a step, have a conversation,
Yeah.
breathe, brush your teeth, take a shower. These things are happening. So how can create some of those standard like subconscious responses? It's just like drinking a glass of water, choosing this food item over that, getting that gym time, even if it's just 15 minutes or 10 or whatever, like that 10-minute Peloton bike ride if you got a Peloton at home. I know people that bought Pelotons during this whole thing, and you can like, I know you can do a 10-minute workout, but they don't even get on. I know somebody that hasn't gotten
Right.
on in 3 months. It's like they have 10-minute hill climbs that feel like you just worked out for an hour, and you want to slap them, right? But at the end of the day, you gotta like just ease into it. So anyway.
Right. It's almost like, that's a good point though. If you could just get somebody to do something for 10 minutes, it's a lot easier to get them to continue that activity for a little bit longer. I think you hit on another great thing about our patterns, our habits. Maybe this was like 4 or 5 years ago. I wanted to gain 10 pounds of muscle, and I gave myself 2 years to do it. And instead of saying like, okay, what do I need to do today? I started thinking about, what are the habits that I need to consistently do every single day for the next 2 years in order to pull this off. And that is what really pushed me over the edge. And I think that is something that, you and I are in a really good position to talk to people about this. It's like, it's not what you do every now and then, it's what you consistently do day in, day out that's going to really transform your physiology, but deeper than that, your whole mindset and your body.
Yeah, we only see the end result of people. We only see them at their present state, and we don't know all the steps that it took there. Just like, try to bring it up again, but like my book, like what motivated me to start writing my book was like people just assuming that, oh, you got great genetics. Like life was just handed to you. Like these things that I would hear from people, that these assumptions made about me, that like somehow I've just like floated through life, and I'm always like,
easy, right?
For you not knowing me like real well, Chris, is like I just always have good energy and a good positive spirit, and it's just because of what and who I surround myself with.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean I haven't had challenges along the way. One thing I've just gotten better and better is analyzing, like, some, like, for example, I'm a father, so I'm not perfect, and I've had moments where I've like snapped at my kids, and I go back and I analyze, could I have done that better? I think that's one thing of the many things that I do that, like, I don't think people analyze their behavior, or they don't think like, did you curse? Did you use all this? I look at energy, like we only have so much energy as a human being and bandwidth, and like, especially as an entrepreneur, like I want to like conserve it for like some productive stuff. So like, I don't want to yell at the guy that cuts me off. Like that happens a million times here in Rochester. The silliest things that I've seen in Rochester.
Right.
Like one thing I'd never seen before is this, like until I moved here, was because I'm not originally from here, is like they'll cross two lanes and they'll just sit there until they can get over these other two lanes and like hold up like 2 lanes of traffic. Like I've never seen that before in my life. So, but I could spend energy getting mad at it, or I'd be like, okay, I don't know what that person's going through, and just like disconnect completely from the experience as best as I can and just move about my day. But some of you are like, oh, honk the horn, and then like you don't know, like that's energy. That's energy that could be used in a workout, but you're too tired by the other day between work, kids, wife, this, that, guy cut you off, and then you're drained. Like, but what if we could find a way just to conserve that and leave that like 5 minutes of screaming at somebody you don't even know to like a workout? Like when you start looking at like your 24-hour cycle like that, like I have, it just can really change your world. So that's something I encourage people to do. Just like kind of like analyze, think about your stuff. Like, but my mindset's always like, how can I serve? How can I love? How can I, my wife, my kids. And, I mentioned my kids and wife earlier. Like someone decided years ago, like my number one job is being the best father and best husband, and everything else just vehicles to be better at those. Doesn't mean I don't like training. Doesn't mean I don't like writing a book. Doesn't mean I don't like these things. But my greater mission in life is that it actually leads me to serve and also be, donate to organizations, or like I just partnered up with an organization to provide free or even low cost, like movement nutrition education for low income first through fifth graders. Like, so it leads me to do these things because again, I'm a representative. I want, my kids are watching, my wife's watching, people are watching, but it's also, it provides things for them as well. So everything's like a vehicle to those things. And that's kind of like where my life is. So, which led me to the book too. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. So Justen, as far as like getting you to this point, if you were hired to give, let's say, like a 1 to 2 minute motivational speech, This can include fitness. This can go bigger picture. Let's say like a school hired you or a corporation hired you, and you're distilling your principles for both mindset, goal setting, nutrition, fitness, whatever direction you want to go. What's your motivational speech?
A 2-minute, man, that's pressure on 2-minute motivational speech. Man, I just feel like I was put on this planet. I think we're all put on this planet to serve and love. And so like, I just want to be here to serve as many people as I can for as long as I can, and to, better healthy mindset, to better health, better wellness, to the mind, the body, the spirit, and the emotional state, to be self-sustainable, to, I said this to my kids. I'm a man of faith. So I said this to my kids the other day. I said, what if, I don't know if this is much of a speech, but like, look at it this way. Like, what if everybody on this planet loved and listened as much as, whether you're a believer or not, your perception of as much as Jesus loved and listened? Like, wow. So like, that's what I want to be like. I want to be this guy that can listen really well and love on people and be able to just help as many people as I can, and then just create that domino effect and throughout the world. So to create just an educational platform for people to be able to learn and to grow, and then just kind of create that, because we're all capable of it. I think we just all need to learn to maximize these things. We just get focused in one area of our life, whether it be the health, whether it be the spiritual, or the mental, or the emotional. And we're seeing this correlation between mental health increasing. We don't know what's going on. And then we see the health. There's a correlation. We're all interconnected, just like our bodies, our minds, and our spirits are all like an interconnecting web. So are we as a society. So if we could just like connect this web of energy between Mother Earth, between human beings, and then just start looking at us as human beings as playing on one team that just doesn't know all the players, we could really change this world for the better. So I don't know as much motivational speech, but like, that's my thing. Like, we're all on the same team. Let's work together. And like, we're all better operating if we're really better mental, physical, emotional, spiritual health. And then it just creates this domino effect. So it's kind of where I'm at, and that's what I want to help create again. And to be able to create that, I can't kill myself. So like, as far as like drain myself, like so many entrepreneurs. So there you go, man.
Justen Arnold, thank you so much for that motivational speech. How do people get in touch with you? Your website, social media?
Yeah, so Justen Arnold here with an E-N, Justen. So if you're Googling, make sure you spell it correctly, JUSTENARNOLD. But yeah, personally, I'm on Facebook and Instagram as @Justen Arnold, again with that JUSTENARNOLD. @FlexMP is my business, @FLEXXMP. And that's the same thing as my website, flexmp.com. Upcoming JustenArnold.com, where you'll be able to get my new upcoming book, Purpose Through Pain. And yeah, same idea for email, Justin@flexmp.com or bmore@flexmp.com. But you can find all this contact again in my website at flexmp.com. So there you go, with two X's.
Sounds good. Yeah, Justen, I really appreciate you joining me today on Health in the Real World.
Yes, man, no problem. I appreciate you taking the time.
Thanks for listening to the Health in the Real World show. Make sure to like and subscribe and comment down below. Visit mycorebalance.com to learn more.